Hi, good to see you. I'm really excited to be doing this. I'm excited to be talking to you right now, actually. And I decided that I really want to start doing a lot more long form, a lot more YouTube. Um, I realized really only recently how crazy it is that the internet is such a big platform and that I could literally be talking to millions of people right now, potentially. And the entire purpose of me wanting to start becoming more of a presence on YouTube and getting a little bit more involved with YouTube is because I want to find my people and I want to make it easier for my people to find me. And what I mean by that is, and you know how it feels like, right? When you find your person, like you connect for the first time, you talk for the first time, and it's nonverbal, and it's like, oh, this feels right. I know this person. I've never met them before, and this is our first encounter, but I know this person. And I'm looking to connect to my people. I'm looking to meet my people, and you know it, I know it. So if it's you, if you know it's you are my people. You recognize me, and I'm sure I'll recognize you. Let's connect. Leave a comment. Follow me on Instagram. Subscribe to this channel. Um, there's too many of us out there. There's many of us out there, and I would love to meet you. So let's get going. Let's get going. So I'm just here to tell you my story. There's so much that I want to say and there's so much that I want to communicate. And I think just starting with where I came from and where I'm at and where I'm going is the easiest way to do it. So, Dean is my name. My actual name is Nuruddin, and Dean is the name that I chose when I came to America. I was born in Queens, and I went to Egypt with my family when I was 4, and that was my first immigrant experience. I was a 4-year old who grew up in Queens, New York, and switching to Egypt was a big change for me. It was my first really big, like, shock of a change of experience. And that's where I came up in Alexandria, Egypt, after leaving from Queens. And it was pretty intense, the shift from New York to Egypt, like that young, to be going through that much change, as an immigrant. And that's where it all started. Now, Egypt, Alexandria, Egypt, was a pretty good place to live. Pretty good place to live. Very intense culture. Very Islamic at its root and very traditional. But life changed a lot in 2011, is when the Arab Spring took over, and essentially it was a revolution that took over the country. And in this revolution, I saw so much violence, mass shootings, mass violence, mass protesting, all to overthrow our president. And that was the beginning of it all. When I'm 12 years old and being witness to like a big terrorist bombing and being witness to all that violence, my mind really started to change. My mind really, my look on the world really changed because I realized, like, oh, I'm responsible for my own safety. We're in a state of emergency. Police are suspended. EMT is suspended. You're on your own, buddy. And that's about when I started doing martial arts. Is when I saw my country falling apart in politics. I started doing martial arts really competitively for the first time, and I started with full contact karate. Post revolution as well. Like I realized this. Now it's 2015, maybe 2016. I'm a teenager, and I realized that there's no future for me staying in Egypt. I'm just going to be fighting an uphill battle. I'm going to be paying a bribe in every corner just to get through. Is massively corrupt, and the country just was on a downhill. And I did not think that, with the signature that the Arab Spring and the revolution left, that it would make any sense for me to stay in the country, and that it would make any sense for me to build in that nation. Which is when I moved to the United States, and I went to Syracuse, New York. Cold place, icy cold. Like I remember when I was in Egypt still applying for school and I saw New York, like Syracuse, New York. I was like, oh, it must be close to New York City. It must be like kind of New York City, right? So I know there was such a thing as upstate New York. And I get there and it's anything but New York City. Which is really funny to be talking about this because I'm in New York City right now. But that place was ice cold, like they are known for their snow. That's what they're most known for up there. So I learned a lot in those 8 years in Syracuse. I went to college there at Syracuse University. I did collegiate cheerleading for 4 years, and then I went into mixed martial arts after that. I had a great time in college. I had a college experience. I had the college experience, and I learned a lot. And the profession that I got into in college, which made perfect sense and was fully aligned with who I was, I got into personal training. I was an exercise science major, and I started personal training. And for me, movement and exercise have always been a part of my life. Like it really has been so core to who I am. And I got really big into that actually post revolution. So, really important context here. I grew up in a very high violence household, a lot of physical abuse. It was a very violent environment, right? And I've done a lot of work, and I'm able to clear that and like have a pretty positive relationship with what I came from. Um, but that's when I got deep into fitness because it was the only way that I could leave the house and stay out. Like I would go on a 3 4 hour run. I was running distances. I was one little skinny thing, um, and just like being in the gym and running and out of all the times the garbage truck could come by. So I spent so much time running and going to the gym and in martial arts. For me, movement was just like a safe haven, like the environments where I went into sport and exercise really for me were like safe environments where I could get away from all the craziness at home and like find a moment where I could be in my body and just feel safe in my body. And that took me to collegiate athletics. It took me to competitive martial arts. So I'm really grateful for the environment that allowed me to discover sport on the level that I did, but also discover my love for movement in the way that I did. And I got into personal training because I think, above all, I realized how important movement is in feeling safe in your body and how much like physical presence is so important because it's so easy to get in your head and get in your thoughts and like be in your feelings. But the moment you exercise, the moment you get your blood pumping, the moment you start moving, you start to be really present in your body. And that's the experience that I really chased my whole life. That feeling of presence, like being in my body, being with myself. So I got into personal training, and I fell in love with the career. Like for me, the gift of being able to give that to someone, like the presence and like the positive emotion and like the being in my body to be able to give that to someone for me was the biggest pleasure in the world. And to this day, I'm a personal trainer. Now I'm a little bit more. Now I'm digital. I'm a fully online personal trainer, and I love what I do. I love, 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 love what I do. And over time, I went from like just being involved with fitness, like physical transformations on a visual level. Like I've really generated a lot of really crazy transformations in my career. But what I shifted into was movement quality and pain resolution. Because I realized pretty quickly the reason people are in physical pain is more than not because they're too fat, they don't have enough muscle, and they're not moving. So that's the product that I really zoomed in on. And like I didn't decide on that, it kind of showed itself to me. I didn't know I was a pain resolution expert until like I had 30, 40 people come through my program and with physical pain, and then they get over it. And then it's like, oh, this is what I really do. This really is what I do. So that's what I do to this day. And I've been in mixed martial arts now for a few years. I left Syracuse. I closed out the in-person business and I moved to Brooklyn, New York, to be with my family again. Which is the first time I've been living with family since I was 15 years old, when I left Egypt to come to New York. And here we are, reunited again. 10 years later, 12 years later, something like that. And here we are. And I'm fully online. And I'm here just for a moment as I get ready to move to Thailand. So that's the next big move, is to get to Thailand. Right now, I'm projecting a March timeline. I'm talking to you right now in the beginning of January of 2026. Um, and the goal is to fight full time in Thailand. The goal is to cut out like all the madness of this country and all the distractions of the U.S. But also introduce like sunlight and beach. Like I just want to live on the beach. I want to live under the sun. I want to live with warm people. I want to live with like in a relaxed culture. And I feel like I did complete this US chapter. I came to this country to get an education and build a life that I loved, and here I am. I feel like that's where I'm at today. I've reconciled with who I am. I'm 27 years of age in a couple of weeks from now. And I feel pretty solid in who I am, and I feel really prepared to take on this international life for the future. And here we are. Dean Ali from 99 to the present day.